Get ready to dive deep into Buffalo's vibrant music scene because we're stepping inside the fabulous Flamingo Lounge for the 8th season of local music magic. In the Flamingo Lounge with Rockabilly Greg is more than just a podcast. It's a collection of stories that delves deep into the vibrant musical history of Buffalo and Western New York, creating a living archive where each story adds a unique thread to the overall narrative. This season, we're taking a deep dive into the heart of the music community. Join us for personal conversations with musicians and industry pros, where we celebrate the collective creativity that makes our favorite artists, venues, and events so special. But before we get started, I'd like to give a big shout out to our sponsors, CatsLikeUs.com, Diamond Hawk Golf Course and Pub, and valued supporter, Buffalo Ironworks, for helping to keep the music alive. Charlie Coughlin, born in Buffalo's Irish Heritage District, brings a unique blend of Irish and American tunes, folk songs, and new music sensibility to his solo act, forming his own neo-folk sound. As the fiddler for Crikwater, the Brothers Blue, Steel City Rovers, and Bánóg, Charlie has been performing in the Buffalo area for more than 10 years. He has played stages from Buffalo to New York, Baltimore, Ireland, and beyond. He has also performed at many great festivals across the country, such as the Greyfox Bluegrass Festival, the Virginia Scottish Festival, and the Southern Maryland Celtic Festival, among many others. Charlie is also a proud recipient of the Irish Echoes Arts and Culture Award in 2023. In the fall of 2025, Charlie opened the Buffalo Academy of Irish Music. Its aim is to bring in-depth traditional Irish music lessons to youth and adults in the Buffalo and Western New York region. Its goal is to further enrich the already fantastic Irish traditional music scene in the area with more young players and masterclasses from highly skilled teachers from Ireland. It is my honor to welcome to the Flamingo Lounge, Charlie Coughlin.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, Charlie.
It.
Great to have you down here. Thanks for joining us, and looking forward to chatting with you. You bought your fiddle, so we're going to hear some good traditional Irish stuff. As a Hennessy, it's right in my blood there. So
yeah,
right up at the top. I know my wife too. I said we're going to have a little bit of a house concert, and she used to do Irish dancing when she was younger. So she's like, oh yeah. So that's what she really digs it. But before we kind of get into the meat of everything, I always ask everyone, but when we start, if you had an aha moment when you said music's what I want to do.
Yeah, I kind of had at least two different moments when I was growing up. One of the first ones that I don't particularly remember, but I'm always told by my family members about this was when I was about 5 years old. I have three older brothers. Closest one to me is about 6 years apart, right? So I'm a lot younger than my other brothers. They were all heading to go to the downtown parade, the Sunday parade. Mm-hmm. And my brothers and my mother and my father, they listened to lots of different types of music. So they threw on a compilation disc that they put together of, the Dubliners and all these different kind of Irish music. There's probably some Irish rock in there too.
Right.
I can't remember specifics, but my family says while we were in the car, was whenever the Dubliners were on and there was a fiddle tune that was playing, I was always just kind of bobbing my head. Okay. And I asked my mom, like, what is this? And she said, oh, that's the fiddle. I said, I want to learn to do that. Mm-hmm. I want to do that. And it took a while for me to get my first fiddle, but when I finally did, that's all what I've always wanted to do.
Wow.
And that's one. And then two was when I was in high school. Teenagers, myself included, you never know what you want to do or never really have a motivation to do something. Yeah. So I had lessons on and off with the fiddle. And then I saw my dad was taking flute lessons and I got kind of jealous and started, asking him if I could take some violin lessons from the same place. Mm-hmm. So when I met my wonderful teacher, Gretchen Fisher. And it was more classical, obviously. Like there's a lot of classical in Buffalo, especially with violin lessons. Mm-hmm. And I loved that too. I loved those lessons. And I think I was a sophomore when I turned to her, and granted, I'd only been taking a year or two with lessons from her. And I told her, I think I want to go to college for this. Mm-hmm. And she looked at me and she was like, okay, we need to seriously sit down and get you lots of lessons and to catch you up because you're really far behind.
Okay.
So I started taking 2 lessons a week and to really get there. And to her credit, she really got me really far for somebody was practice adverse.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't love practicing, no teenager does.
Right. No.
And I was able to just squeeze into Buff State. So thanks to her, it's like I got where I wanted to be. And,
right.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. So now when you talk about like violin versus fiddle, because I always ask it, and it seems like, there's a classical and of course the, traditional Irish Appalachia that, they were bluegrass, fiddle's very popular, but where's kind of how do you go from violin to, do you need, I guess my question is, can you learn fiddle first and then go like classical violin, or does the classical kind of translate into the?
I would say, kind of answer two questions. Like the biggest difference between a fiddle and a violin is definitely the way that you play it.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it is in today's sense. I've heard somebody say before that the fiddle was way long ago was an actually different instrument at one point in time.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also like a cultural thing. Like in Ireland, they don't really say violin. They're just so used to the word fiddle that they just say fiddle. Mm-hmm. That means violin or fiddle.
Sure.
But here, we say a lot more people say violin. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And kind of having both. Like I did fiddle lessons, which were on and off, and then I did violin lessons. Those weren't on and off, but I did them for a long time,
mm-hmm.
and was also trying to teach myself where I could the fiddle and
right.
Irish traditional music. I find that like you can have them be separate. You could learn just fiddle, you could learn just
mm-hmm.
classical, and you can meld them together if you know what you're looking for,
sure.
what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a lot of professional classical violin people want to get into fiddle,
mm-hmm.
and they do really well, and they have the technique that's there. They have really good posture, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But then I've also seen a really good fiddle player who's it was in a video. He was a really old guy. It was just somebody was videoing a session in I think Ennis. And this old guy, rather than having like where your chin would go with the chin rest,
sure,
he had it all the way up on the tip of his shoulder.
Oh,
so
wow.
It was on but he still had that chin rest at the regular spot, but he wasn't putting it anywhere near that.
Oh, no
and
kidding.
that's how he played it, and his fiddle sounded amazing. So,
right.
It's I've gone really back and forth on does the classical stuff like really solidify what you can do,
mm-hmm.
or between that and the other idea of like do what's comfortable for you.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like everybody has their own way of doing it,
mm-hmm.
as long as it sounds good and you're happy with it.
Right.
That's the biggest thing. Like, what are you looking to do for it?
Yeah.
I try to remind my students that I have about that. Like sometimes I have adult students and they're like, oh, I didn't practice that much. I'm
mm-hmm.
like, look, it's okay. What do you want to get out of it? Right. It's okay if everything's not perfect. It's okay if everything takes a little time,
mm-hmm.
right? As long as you're happy where you're going, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not happy, then we can work on that. We can get you to where you want to be.
Right.
But just don't be too hard on yourself, because
mm-hmm.
there's right and wrong ways to do things,
mm-hmm.
and not where there's things that there is no right or wrong way. Right. Again, like holding the violin is, I think that I personally think the classical position is really important and it's really good,
mm-hmm.
but I've seen people not do that,
mm-hmm.
right, and do their own thing, and that works out for them too.
Right. Yeah.
And you kind of have to feel that out a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope I answered that question.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's because I can imagine that being a fiddle player in high school is probably a lot cooler than being a violin player, right? So you say, I'm a fiddle player, and I know because it seems like, I've heard a lot of folks like, they'll go to Eastman and all that and learn classical violin, but they'll go to Nashville because that's where the money is, right?
Yeah.
Because, it's not, you're going to make more money doing fiddle and country music than you are going to be classical music.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, right? But you got to kind of, if you want to do it, right? It's that.
I think with that, like, yeah, like there's a good classical scene obviously here in Buffalo
mm-hmm.
because of Kleinhans and the orchestra, but it is really difficult to get into, and it's really competitive, right? So and that could be that way for a lot of different things.
Yeah.
but when it comes to folk and fiddle music, there's a little bit more room for you to kind of find where you are.
Sure.
With classical music, it is pretty strict. It's pretty
Yeah.
strict on how you play and what you do,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where was I going with that? Sorry, kind of lost.
Oh no, that's okay.
Kinda blank
I was
there,
going to say we seem to have a pretty good fiddle, Irish country scene with violin players. I mean, there's quite a few
we
accomplishments
do.
around here.
There's really good fiddle players and in old time country and Irish music here in Buffalo. Yeah, it's really funny. I feel like there's a lot of people like that here in Buffalo.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a great Irish heritage and tradition here in Buffalo. I mean, you go way back 100 years, and that's where my grandfather and great-grandfather, I should say, not grandfather, great-grandfather, was coming in from New York all around, I think, the 1920s, coming into Buffalo. And I get, when my parents passed a few years ago, I found out I had great aunts and great uncles I never even knew existed. It's like, oh, okay, that. And the interesting thing was, I also found out that they didn't want to say they were from Ireland back then,
right?
Because that was, you were very low on the
totem pole,
on the priority list. Yeah, unfortunately, there was a lot of discrimination against the Irish way back then. So
sure.
I think it was my great grandfather said he never said on his papers that he was from Ireland. He said he was from New York.
Yeah,
and only one of my great aunts or uncles put that they were actually from Ireland.
Right.
So it was I'm like, this is pretty interesting stuff,
Oh yeah, I love it. The Irish for sure had a lot of those kind of difficulties, right? Yeah. But it's kind of funny as an American with Irish heritage, I know a lot about that. I hear a lot about that because they went through it. But looking back for a lot of different immigrants at different times, they all kind of had their own trouble. When the Italians came over, the Germans came over, everybody kind of kept to their groups because people who have been here for a while were saying, "Hey, who are these new people coming into town?" And that's always been a big thing over here. But yeah, I love heritage and history. I just did a lot on my own family because I did one of those DNA tests, and I knew personally that both sides of my family were Irish.
Okay.
But I was kind of, I wanted to take this DNA test because I was kind of hoping there'd be something else right there, and not surprisingly, being from South Buffalo, that I didn't have anything other than Ireland.
Right.
But it gave me an opportunity to do some research on my own family and know that a lot of my family has been here for 5 generations.
Oh, wow.
So surprisingly, I'm still just Irish. I don't know how that happened. I would have suspected something else had gone in there, but with so much time. But
yeah,
I can trace it back to my great grandfather who came over when he was about 2 years old. His father, Cornelius, had come over. He was Irish. He worked in England. His wife had died, so it was just Cornelius and Michael, who was my great-great-grandfather. And he ended up marrying another Irish woman in England. And then he went to the United States to get a job. He moved here to Buffalo. So then, my great-great-great-grandmother-in-law, or, not in-law, step-great-great-grandmother, right? And Michael came over when he was about, just a little bit older, right? 2, 3 years old. And then, Michael served in the Civil War in the Navy. And then he tragically died when he was 48. Oh, wow. At the time they were living in Cleveland. So he was a Great Lakes sailor.
Oh, okay.
For a long time before
Cool.
he met his wife, and then when he met his wife, they moved to Cleveland. He got a job, and just accidentally inhaled bad chemicals. Oh, building at the time they were building a refrigerator of some sort, and they were applying this stuff on the inside.
Right.
And it caused him to have an asthma attack, and he died. Yeah.
Oh, that's
It was,
awful.
it was pretty bad, but but I love being able to find out about that kind of stuff, and by doing that, I realized, oh wow, I have a lot of family here that I didn't realize that I had. You know, but my great grandmother is buried right around the corner from where I live.
Okay.
Right in Holy Cross Cemetery.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Same with my triple great grandfather. We don't know where he is, but he's buried there.
Right. Okay.
And my great grandparents, my aunts and uncles, great grand aunts, uncles, like all sorts of stuff.
Right.
So it's been fun to talk with my family and walk around the cemetery to kind of find them. You know?
Now, were any of those folks musicians?
Yes and no, not in the same way. Like I do it for a living.
Right.
My grandfather, Jim, I called him Pa my whole life. He played a lot of music. He played like guitar and banjo, but mostly just for his family. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
He was kind of a I don't want to say closed person, but he preferred, after coming home from work, he was a special education teacher.
Okay.
Coming home from work, his favorite thing to do is just go to the back room and sit down and read or watch TV. Or that's all I've ever known him to do. I could be wrong. He could have been different when he was younger, but you know, as a kid, that's how I remember him. But he was a very happy man. So.
Yeah, as that generation was, you know, they didn't talk a lot. My grandfather was the same way, and you know, it's funny because I asked my mom a while back. I said, you know, because I kind of got started as an artist and kind of really always had an interest in music. But I'm like, Mom, you know, we had a lot of artists in the family, but I'm like, we don't have any musicians. She says, oh no, your grandfather was a very accomplished pianist. And I said, he was. I never ever heard him play piano. She says, don't you remember there was a piano in that front room in their house? I says, no, there was that orange couch that was always there. I said, that was gone before I could remember, because my grandfather was also a semi-pro baseball player, and all the stories I ever heard was how he played baseball back in the 20s and the 30s and barnstormed and everything with, you know, Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Never heard any of the music stuff. And it made sense to me because I remember my grandmother saying before she passed, she's, I got two regrets in life. One was not learning how to drive, and one was not learning how to play piano.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that makes sense now. I said, gee, Ma, you know, why don't you people, you know, talk more about this kind of stuff? It was,
well, yeah.
But it's interesting to find all that stuff out, and, you know, where you come from, and yeah.
Talk about it when it comes up, right? That's kind of the mentality.
Yeah.
I feel the same way. Like, I hear stories of from my dad or my mom. Sometimes I'm like, why did you never tell me that before?
Yeah.
They're like, it's never had to come up before, so no reason to talk about it.
Yeah, I know. And I really wish I had this equipment a few years, you know, my parents both passed 5 years ago. I would have loved to, you know, bring the equipment to their house and record that stuff. I mean, you know, they've told stories over the years, but I just don't remember it that well.
Yeah.
You know, there was some stuff written down, but, you know, all this, you know, to pass on those stories. And, you know, my wife's family's trying to get her dad, he's 91, to tell his story, and he does not want to talk about anything personally. He wants to talk more about what he did for work. And you know, again, it's kind of that generation. He's, you know, because her one niece wants to know, you know, how did you and Nana meet? You know, what was the story? And he does not. He says, nope, that's just not part of they didn't do that. I remember even my mother told me once, she says, I tried to hold your father's hand once in public, and he told me, we don't do that in public. That's just not something you do, you know, and that's, you keep that stuff behind closed doors. But anywho, family history is great. I want to kind of get back, because I'm curious. So when you do your lessons, are you more of a traditionalist, or are you doing the Suzuki method, or are you doing a little of both? Or
yeah, I mean, it's kind of a funny question, because I mix in a lot of stuff. I was taught on the Suzuki method. So especially when it's like violin or classical lessons, that's what we do. We do the Suzuki method, and I guess I'm not doing the true Suzuki method, because I think that when you go from the first book, your students aren't even really supposed to read the book.
Right.
It's like you're doing it all by ear, which I completely agree with. I think that's one of the best ways to learn. That's how I love learning and teach, definitely, when I do Irish traditional music.
Right.
Because it helps sustain that. But I like to try to just get them the first basics, like, hey, this is your A note, right?
Right.
I don't expect you to remember. Just over time, when we keep doing this more and more and more,
Right.
you'll be able to read it a little easier. That's how my teacher taught me, Gretchen, and I think it was perfect. Like, obviously a lot by ear, but also learning the first kind of steps into reading the music that you're doing. And when it comes to classical, definitely go through the Suzuki method. I've gotten students who are from public school, and they'll bring in I think it's essential elements. There's like the specific like school book for that, and I've learned a little bit more about what that really is, but I never did that. I went to private Catholic school from all the way up till college. So when my students were first bringing me this, I was like, oh, this is an interesting book. And then when I realized, actually this past year, I had gotten a small part, not part-time. Yeah, it was part-time, but it was a long-term sub-position. I had opened up, and I was like, oh, I'll go and help with that. I had learned that book, like, it's to keep everybody, one teacher to teach everybody everything at the same time.
Gotcha.
And I'm like, oh, okay, this book makes a lot more sense in that context.
Gotcha.
Right, rather than just a regular book like Suzuki necessarily.
Yeah.
And then with Irish or old time music, we'll read a bit. I think reading is an important skill. But I try to get them off of the page a lot of times. Yeah. Because it'll help start, if you can get the tune up in your head, it'll help get the tune out on the instrument. Right. So I always tell them, learn to sing. If you can go, it's kind of might feel stereotypical, but doing the la da dee dee di dee dee diddly diddle dums, right? That's lilting, and that's actually like that is a singing art form, but it's also a way to I think learn the tunes. And the way that they're pronounced makes it easier to hit all those notes. Like, I forget who the singer was, but he does this. Right, and it helps with those rolls and those things and distinct notes, right? Right. Rather than just this it can kind of like mush. Right. Yeah. What was I saying about that? So that's how I teach for Irish traditional music, is get in your head. That'll help get it to your instrument. Right. And then from there, like having the sheet music in front of you can be like a really handy tool. But everything that's written on sheet music when it comes to traditional music won't be necessarily what you're listening to. Right. Right. Not only for like the ornamentations that are written for specifically Irish music, they won't necessarily write ornamentations. You kind of have to know where to put those. Sure. And not everybody, like, the tunes are really close, but every once in a while somebody does something a little different. Yeah. And that's not, if you're looking at sheet music, that might not be what's written down, right? Yeah. So using it as a base, hey, this is the kind of a base of where I am. I'm kind of getting the idea of the tune in my head, and do the rest by ear and by thought will help, like, keep the tune not only memorized, but like, like, that's what I was looking for. Yeah, just basically memorization.
Yeah. I've been having this conversation lately, with some folks, because I'm doing a cabaret. Well, as this will air, it will already have been done, but we're rehearsing now during this time. And, the sheet music's in front of you, and we're doing 50s and 60s and 70s, and, like Elvis stuff. I mean, it's like, some people are trying to just read the song, and it's like, no, dude, you got to throw in some.
Yeah, you got to feel it.
You got to feel it. Yeah, because if you just try to sing it exactly the way it's written on the page, it comes off real stale, right? Right. So there's that, and I always love talking about, how do you put the feel in, and like if you are playing with an orchestra, how do you? I mean, they got to be on. There's a ton of instruments, so they can't be off noodling and doing their own thing. They got to be on. But as a vocalist, right, you can still be hearing it and still following along, but putting a little feel into it and emoting and all that kind of stuff, right?
Whenever I have like a somebody who knew classical, right, or had done classical lessons, was looking to do Irish music,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe they weren't playing professionally, but that's how they've learned. That's one of the toughest things, is they're so used to being very precise
Mm-hmm.
and all that where it's like you need to get off the page, because
Right.
it's gonna, like you were saying, help with the feel of the music,
Mm-hmm.
right? Sometimes when you're reading, you're so focused in reading, you're not really listening to the music,
Right.
right? Or you're nervous. I used to get that way when I would read sheet music for classical music. I'd be like so nervous I was going to mess something up,
Yeah.
rather than just being like, take this moment and play what you can.
Yeah.
The sheet music is really there so that you know what to play,
Right.
not how to play it.
Right.
Right. Maybe that's not the best way to describe it, but being able to get off that page and,
Mhm.
and look, when I've learned to do that, especially a lot with more folk music, I still need to do that with classical music.
Mhm.
Classical music is pretty intense, but coming off for folk music has helped a lot. And like, oh, okay, I get it now. I feel it now. I can.
Yeah, I was told one time, because I'm a vocalist, and one guy told me, he says, "Dude, you're thinking too much. Stop thinking." And he says, "You know the music." He says, "Just do it, feel it." He says, "I know you got it in you." He says, "Same thing. Put the page down. Maybe keep the words in front of you if you're
Yeah.
a little iffy on the lyrics." But he says, "Don't follow those notes anymore. Just kind of you know the music behind you. Count it in." And
that's my toughest. I don't know if it's the way my brain's wired, but that's the toughest thing for me, which is remembering lyrics.
Oh, I'm terrible at it. I've sang some songs with my buddy for 20 years, and we still have the lyrics in front of us, and we still screw them up,
Oh yeah.
get them out of order, and so.
I can remember the melody really easily.
Mhm.
I like, and probably because I've practiced doing that with Irish music so much, right? Where Irish traditional music is so not only melody driven, but like that's mainly what's being played in the traditional sense.
Mm-hmm.
But like trying to remember what the words were, it takes me a while. I have to really sit down and sing it again and again and again.
Right.
And I'm sure a lot of people do that, but it just doesn't come naturally for me to remember exactly what words. And even still, like I'll either mush them together or flip them around.
Yeah.
And
My wife can listen to a song once or twice and have all the lyrics on. How do you do that? And she'll do that with a song she hasn't heard in 20 years. It's like, how do you do that? It's like, because she always laughs at me because I always sing the wrong words.
Oh yeah.
Or she can tell, she says, "You sang that on stage, haven't you? Because you're better with the lyrics on that than other stuff, or you've done karaoke or whatever." And I'm like, yeah, you're right.
Do you ever not know what they're saying? Even though like after you read it, it becomes super clear.
Yeah.
But before that moment, you have absolutely no idea what they're saying. It's just a mush.
Oh.
Right. And it's not the recording. It's just, I don't know. I feel that way. Like I'm listening to a song and I really like it. But I can't pick out the words that they're saying until I see their mouth or something.
Yeah.
And then I read the words and I'm like, oh, this makes absolute sense.
Yeah.
Like
there's I'm doing a Jailhouse Rock, and there's one that I think it's like the second verse. I'm like, oh, that's what that is. Because I thought I knew the lyrics, and I was just kind of mumbling, peas and carrots or whatever, during those are, it's kind of scatting through it, and it's like, oh, and that and Heartbreak Hotel too. I'm like, oh. So yeah, you just hear stuff and you're like, you think that's what, how many times do we think like, Hold Me Closer, Tony Danza, that kind of thing. And, but, and kind of going back to your original point too, with being able to, and you alluded to it earlier, is if a young person can just get on the instrument and play a song, that just gives you the confidence too, right? I mean, if you're struggling and you're going through, like I was taking guitar lessons and you're going over the circle of fourths and the circle of fifths and all this other stuff, and here's the mixolydians and all. I just want to play some songs, man. I just want to play some Johnny Cash, or, I want to be able to go up and play some rhythm behind my buddy, to get started. And then we'll turn me into, a jazz master,
Yeah. I mean, that's the funny thing between adults and I notice that kids have no, like, and this is a good thing, but this is the difference I see between adults and children, is that kids have no fear of sounding bad.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've had students before adult versus kids, and they'd have the same song or tune or something, and the kid, like they're they're screeching a little bit, but they just get the tune. They gets under their fingers. They've got it in their head. They're playing it, and sometimes the adult is like too afraid to mess up the tune
Gotcha.
that it gets that gets in their head,
Mm-hmm.
and it takes them a little bit longer to learn the tune because it's just like you're overthinking it. Just push through that, right? Push through that thought. Like any other kid would not care how the tone of it sounds, or if they get it right 100%. Right? They just kind of and this is general. Like I'm sure there's exceptions.
Oh yeah,
but
yeah.
That's definitely something for I think adult learners should think about. Is like, don't worry, like it'll come with time.
Yeah.
Half of it is like as adult learners, you guys get it. You understand how the mechanics work and all that 100%, right?
Yeah.
But the biggest thing is sometimes they want it to be quicker, and you haven't gotten it's like a sport in this instance. You haven't built the muscles up to do the thing. So there's the sport thing. So give that time, right? Be okay with yourself that is going to take some time because you haven't been doing it or ever done it. And so you need to build those muscles up slowly and get there. And you will get there with enough time and practice. You will get there. So your understanding of it is going to be helping you a lot if you can be okay with things not being so great at the very beginning.
Because why can't I be a virtuoso on the first lesson, right? So.
right. Like you have the muscle, muscle capability,
right,
and the knowledge and the understanding to get it quickly. But your muscles haven't done it, so they need to do it. Yeah. But kids don't think about that. They just, like you said, they just want to play the song. So a lot of times it's me just being like, okay, we're going to take this little lesson. Okay, now we're going to just learn whatever you want to learn because I want you to be interested and continue to do this. Yeah. Because if you're bored with it, then you're just not going to pick it back up. And then when you're an adult later, you're going to try to pick it back up and be grumpy with yourself.
There you go. Well, why don't we take this time to, we've been talking about playing some music, so why don't you play us a tune?
Sure. Yeah. I'll play a traditional tune. I won't use this stuff yet, but I'll play... I'll play you guys... I'll play a set of jigs, and the first jig that is in this set. So in traditional Irish music, a lot of times you'll play a tune. It'll be AABB, like the form of it. You do that 3 times or 2 times, and then you go to another tune and you play that 2 or 3 times, and you go to a third tune and you do that 2 or 3 times.
Okay.
Depends on lots of things, but that's like the general gist. So in the first set, the whole set is 3 tunes, but the first tune is a tune that I wrote for. I was writing a while back, and when my daughter was born, we named her Fanula, and this tune is called Fanula's Cookie Jar. We were looking for songs. The story of that is we were looking for songs with her name in it, and a lot of them was a song, a very Celtic-y song about Fanula, because there's a whole myth story about it. But then there was one that said Fanula's Cookie Jar as a title, and it was I was like, oh, this must be a tune. This looks like it's going to be a really good tune. And I listened to it, and it was kind of Celtic-y soundscape. And I was like, oh man, it's like this is good, but it's not exactly what I was hoping for. And I was like, I really love the title of that. So I use this as for my daughter, Fanula's Cookie Jar. Okay. And so that's that. And then the next 2 tunes are The Humors of Lachine, and the last tune is Max Fancy.
Okay.
So.
Hold on 1 second. I think when you turned that off, you turned off I'm not getting your fiddle through.
Fiddle. Yeah, I can get that through.
Yeah. There we go. Okay.
Just gonna make sure I'm in tune.
Okay.
All right.
Nice. Yeah.
Thanks.
Like it.
Yeah.
I wanted to get up and dance. Now, does your daughter do Irish dance or?
My kids are still pretty young.
Yeah.
Ronan is 5 and Fanula's 2. But I do want to get them into dance soon.
Yeah.
Because I think it's even if they don't do anything with it, it's just like something to have fun, get to know people and learn to feel some of the music. I think they're pretty musically inclined though, especially probably from me playing so much music and my wife playing so much music.
Okay. Oh, what does your wife play?
Well, I should say play in terms of like hit the play button.
Oh, okay.
I tried to get my wife to play. I bought her a button accordion when we were in Cork because I was like, if you were to pick up an instrument, play with me, what would you do? She goes, I guess I'd do like button accordion or concertina. So I got her a button accordion, and she was doing really well for like 2 weeks. She had learned like 3 songs and then stopped. She's like, it's not my thing. It was like,
all right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Is that something you can play or?
I'll bet. Yeah.
I
went to, I studied abroad in Cork back in 2015 for about a couple months from mid-August to almost Christmas. And when I was there, I took tin whistle, I took fiddle, I took button accordion, shano singing, I took set and step dancing, a history of the Celts, I had to take an arts. That was the only thing I had to take. Was an arts history class. That was the only thing that was available at the school at Cork, and it was the only thing I needed for back in college. Right.
Okay.
That was probably the hardest class there, and the hardest class I've ever taken was that art history class. And then I'm trying to remember if there was anything else that I took. I know I took at least one more class, but I'm kind of blanking on it. But I really just tried to do as much cultural stuff as I could.
Sure.
Right. And I was there. Probably could have done a little harder work at school, but it was an island for the first time. I was having some fun.
There you go.
But anyways, I learned button accordion there and at least the basics. And
Right.
I've been kind of teaching myself and going through it. But it's a fun instrument. It's just, it's difficult. Yeah. It's not.
Yeah, it doesn't got to be pretty coordinated to both of those hands. It's like,
yeah,
I don't know if I could do it.
And the fact that it's like a harmonica, so an in and an out on one button is 2 separate notes. So
right.
you kind of have to know that, right? So I've played on songs and tunes where it didn't feel like, with a piano accordion, sometimes you can go with the beat for a long pull or just really quickly, right?
Sure.
But you could just feel that out and play whatever. On that, you have to know specifically, I have to come out on that note, back in for 3 notes, out for a note, in the note, out for 3 notes.
Oh, wow.
Right? Like you just have to know that pattern. You have to practice that pattern. And that's probably the most difficult part, which is probably what scares me the most. Right? I don't pick it up too often, just for a couple of simple songs and whatnot to learn. But
my next question is going to be, how did the Buffalo Academy of Irish Music start? So we're talking about a lot of teaching and everything here. So
yeah, I had been teaching at the South Buffalo School of Music for a number of years now, private lessons, and I have 2 kids. I have a 3rd one coming.
Oh, nice! Oh, congratulations!
Thank you. And so like teaching gives me a decent amount of money, but I probably make the majority of my money from performing, right? But it can be kind of difficult. Not only I'm at home with the kids. I'm the primary caregiver during the day.
Gotcha.
When Ronan's at school, he's at school, but most of the time, kids are with me during the day. And, sometimes that could be kind of challenging to figure out, okay, where's the next place I'm going to play, email all those places, get the practicing ready, all that kind of stuff. And then these gigs are 2 hours away.
Sure.
So I have to, one of my favorite gigs is playing Aurora Brewing, but it's a 2-hour drive there.
Yeah.
I'm there playing for 3 hours. I need to be there an hour and a half for setup. It's going to take me an hour to break down, and then it's 2 hours drive back home. It's a lot of time finding babysitters, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So I started trying to think to myself, okay, I need to make now this isn't the only reason, but one of the big reasons was like, I need to be home more. I need to make some income more. And it's good to, I know that I enjoy teaching Irish music. I enjoy that. So what can I do with that?
Right.
So I started thinking about that more. And then Buffalo Cultus had reached out to me via an email saying like, we were looking at maybe trying to help start some music stuff. We know that you teach over at the South Buffalo School of Music.
Mm-hmm.
So what can you do? And I was like, oh, this is a great opportunity. Like I was already starting to think about that. Like, so what can I do here? Took me a while because at the time I was juggling a lot of things. I was at that long-term sub position and all that. And then getting into it, I was like, okay, yeah, I can do this. I can put this together. And then realizing it's like, actually, I need more time.
Yeah. So
it had to keep getting pushed off a little bit. And I started it up in September. And the biggest thing is like, I was really excited, and I still am, is I want to try to get, especially younger musicians who might be a little interested in it, to find friends, find kids their own age. I have a private fiddle student and a private bodhrán student, and in my head I was like, this would be so great for them if they had other kids their age playing music with them. I ended up doing like a small youth ensemble with the two of them, a third student, and myself and the other teacher at the Academy of Irish Music. And we did this little thing at the Buffalo Irish Festival with the kids, kind of showcasing Irish music. It was partly for the South Buffalo School of Music, and I was using that as an opportunity to be like, we're going to be starting group lessons, so different from private lessons, group lessons. And afterwards, all my students, they either came up to me or their parents came up to me and told me how much they absolutely loved it. And I'm like, okay, I think this is a good sign that this is, maybe I can get more interest from younger students, and then they can all kind of meet each other and become friends and go down this traditional path.
Yeah.
So I really enjoy that. I also want to, like, adults are allowed to come and take lessons too. Right now our class size is pretty small, but I'm hoping that if we get a decent amount of students, I can split them from youth classes and adult classes. So for right now, the majority of our students are adults, and I think I have like one, maybe two youth students, but they're just kind of in the general classes with them, just because it's small. I think I've got 3 students for tin whistle, 3 students for fiddle, and a student for bodhrán. But I'm hoping to grow that out more and get more, expand the teachers too. I'd like to get a lot more teachers on board from people in our community, to be able to pass on their knowledge of this kind of stuff. I also had thought about like, I was in Ireland on a one of those bus tours, musician bus tours. Like you can go with this group of musicians and be in Ireland for a week. And I had thought about like how great it might be to have the same sort of thing, but with students. But instead of traveling a whole bunch, it's more of like we visit two towns or 2 cities, and we take a few days where for an hour we learn from a local teacher there, right? And then the rest of the day, you can go through the town or go small little travels here or there, right? So part vacation, but also part like a week camp where we're learning from these musicians in, say, in Ennis or in Galway or these other areas. That's a future hope of mine. Yeah. I'm probably going to have to write for grants and stuff like that to be able to make it affordable for the students to go. Right. If not free, at least affordable, because tickets that could get expensive. Yeah. But if the idea sticks and I'm able to get grants for it, I think it would be a really fun opportunity for adults and kids to learn from people, in Ireland itself. Right. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Do you think there's a little bit of a different viewpoint that they have with the music, with them being in Ireland as opposed to
the teachers in Ireland?
Yeah. Or is it just music? The music's the music.
That's a good question. I guess it depends on what you go for over there, because they have classical music in Ireland, but obviously their traditional music, like almost like Nashville, like everybody plays their traditional music over there, right? And the traditional way of learning is by ear, either by going to a session and and slowly picking the tune up, or going to slow sessions and picking the tune up,
Mm-hmm.
or taking, lessons where they teach you by ear,
Mm-hmm.
right? But what was your question again?
I was just going to say, like, is there a difference between learning from folks that are in Ireland? Do they have like this inborn, like, just because it's so natural to them? Are they bringing something different to the music than an interpretation, or if you will?
Oh, certainly.
Yeah.
It's where it comes from, right?
Right.
People that are over here learning the music are learning the styles that are over there,
Right.
right? And we live in an age where you can get that pretty easily. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you can find out that information or listen to that kind of music and play that. So replication over here is pretty similar, though there are really good musicians and teachers here in the States,
Mm-hmm.
right? That I also want to try to get over, to Buffalo once in a while to have like master classes and stuff like that. But I think everybody, especially when it comes to this music, there are certain things that I've heard that are pretty straightforward, like history wise, and then there's certain things that everybody has like a different take on.
Okay.
Like how I teach some ornamentations, like the cut or the roll, is that first off, I've heard this a number of times. The history of it is that the pipes can't easily stop notes. I mean, they can.
Okay.
A really good uilleann piper can stop a note and play two notes, but it's not an easy thing to do. So the easier thing to do is to just cut your note, what they call cutting it, which is using another note to cut one or two notes in half. So for instance, if I had two B's back to back, right? I would use a cut to go. It's a rhythmic sort of thing where you're not stopping the note, right? Right. And the way I teach it is it's not so much as a, right, two separate notes, but I teach it as this like hammer tap.
Okay.
Da-dum. It's really rhythmic. It's less so about the note that you're hitting and more so about, right, just hitting that, right? Using that finger as kind of like as a stopping or a hammer, right?
Almost like you do on a guitar, right? Like a hammer on.
Yeah, like a hammer on, but it's very rhythmic.
Okay.
That's what I think is really important, that you're getting those two notes. You have two eighth notes or a quarter note in the music. You use that cut to cut that right in half.
Right.
Right. You have two B's, B, B, bottom, right? But somebody might teach that differently, right? And I think it's really important to get different opinions, because what I teach might make sense to you, but it might not resonate with you as maybe a different way from somebody else.
Right.
So I think it's really important to be able to go to different teachers and learn it in whole. So that's one of the reasons why I'd like to bring them over to Ireland for people who have done this their whole life and who there's no shortage of really good musicians there. Right. And, people from the States who are also really good musicians, get them over to take their take on certain things. And there's different levels, obviously, there's different levels of what you're performing, but I think that's what I mean by
now. Have you ever dove into bluegrass?
Yes. Bluegrass, I think, is out of all my fiddling, that's my weakest. Okay. Simply because I hear bluegrass and I get those things, but I'm so used to the Irish traditional style, and old time music it's not the same as Irish, but in the sense that how it's played is the same, in terms of you play the tune over and over and over again. There's no soloing. There might be some small variations, but for the most part, you're playing the tune with a group of people, as opposed to bluegrass, where you play through the tune and then you have, I think in bluegrass sessions, they go around the circle, if I'm not mistaken, and they take solos. People are taking their interpretation, these solos of the tune. Maybe they'll just play through the tune once, right? But that's in like jazz, or that's more like that tradition.
Yeah. Okay.
I've played a bunch of bluegrass stuff, but would I say I'm like a proficient bluegrass musician? I'd say I tend to play bluegrass a lot more like it's an old time tune, or like it's a fiddle tune, where I'm playing the tune and maybe embellishing the tune a little bit. I'm not going off these, there's some bluegrass musicians that do some crazy stuff. Yeah. And I'm interested in learning. I just need to take the time and sit down and learn those kind of double stops that they're doing, or the the things that they're doing there. But
Yeah.
it's a whole nother beast in my opinion.
Right. Oh gosh, those guys are playing so fast, and I mean,
Yeah,
I mean,
really crisp notes.
exactly.
And-
It's like anyone who laughs like at a bluegrass musician is like, "Are you kidding me? Those guys are proficient at what they're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, they're masters at those instruments.
Oh yeah.
It's not just playing 3 chords,
Yeah.
and singing Kumbaya.
And every generation that comes out, they're doing something slightly new and more impressive. And so it's when you're listening to like new bluegrass and new bluegrass fiddle players, it's like almost daunting. You're like, oh my gosh, like what are they doing there? You can listen to back to, but they're building off of what was put before them. I wish I had a really good example. I tend to, I grew up, my brothers played a lot of rock music.
Okay.
So I grew up coming downstairs and them being like, play with us. And I'm like, okay.
Right.
And they're like, okay, solo, do whatever you want. And so I've gotten used to doing solos.
Okay.
And in doing that sort of thing. So when it came to bluegrass, I was just doing that, but with bluegrass, not necessarily rock music, but like I was trying to channel bluegrass as much as I could, but and the fact that like I'm not pulling specifically from these like licks,
right?
That I like. That's something I need to sit down and do, is maybe learn some of these and incorporate them.
Sure.
I've learned a few over the years, but I can't say that I can remember them right on call. It's like more of a thing that just kind of hits me as I'm playing the music. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're getting kind of close to the top of the hour, Charlie. So I'd like to hear some more music before we sign off.
Sure. So this is I'm gonna do a little bit of something non-traditional. It's gonna be a traditional tune, but it's in a very non-traditional way. I have here a line 6 DL4, and it's I'm gonna use that as some of my. So when I play solo, I noticed I was playing a lot of fiddle tunes when I was playing solo. And in my head, I think people really enjoy fiddle tunes, right? Everybody seemed to always enjoy just my straight fiddle tunes, but I always thought in my head, it feels like it needs more there. I'm sure people don't want to sit there for an hour just listening to straight solo fiddle. That can get kind of, I need to change it up a bit. Right. But obviously the violin is my strongest instrument. I play guitar and I play bouzouki and stuff like that, but violin's my strongest instrument. So I got this as a tool to help accompany myself with these tunes, but it's definitely not traditional. So this is a tune called Martin Wins, who's actually a famous fiddle player. I'm blanking on where he's from Ireland, but he lived in Buffalo for a long while. And actually our Buffalo Cultist chapter is named after him. It's the Martin Wynn chapter.
Okay.
So this is Martin Wynn's, I think, number 2. And then I throw in the musical priest in there in the middle of it, but try that.
Wow. Great stuff.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's fun. So I kind of have to pinch myself sometimes because when I invite all you folks down here, it's like I get my own personal house concert. It's great.
Yeah.
Which I'm thinking it's like that's good because I'm doing this so much. I very rarely get out to actually, get to a gig. So this is fantastic. I
Well,
can't think
I'm
enough.
jealous of you.
Yeah. So, well, as I said, we're at the top of the hour, Charlie. I'm sure we could go on forever. And,
Sure. Yeah.
We'll save more for next time, as I always say.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Leave everyone wanting more. But before we sign off, where can people find information about the Buffalo Academy of Irish Music and where you're performing? And...
Yeah. So we have a Facebook page, the Buffalo Academy of Irish Music. Our website is buffaloacademyofirishmusic.com.
Mm-hmm.
That would probably give you the most amount of information.
Okay.
You can sign up for lessons there. I'm hoping to do for people who may not be able to make lessons regularly. I'm hoping to maybe do like a video subscription thing with the different teachers over time.
Oh, okay.
Also, I'm hoping to get some ensembles going. So like Kaylee bands, all that kind of stuff. So when you do sign up, you can get access to all those kind of stuff, all that kind of stuff. But that's in the works anyways. What was I saying? Other information. Right now that's where we are. You know, I'm trying to build that up and get some people on board to help me out with social media and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Not my strongest suit. As people who know me know.
Well, it's a lot though when you're trying to build that the other side of the business and do all that. It's
social media is a completely different beast.
Yes, it is.
But and then just regular music stuff. I have Charlie Coughlin Music is on you. It's on not YouTube. It's on Facebook, and then I'm on YouTube as well. I forget what my handle is called, but I'm sure if you look up Charlie Coughlin, well, maybe don't look up Charlie Coughlin. You'll find a priest from 1910 or something like that.
That's right.
But I'm sure if you looked up fiddle tune or something, I'd be up there. So,
we'll get the right link and we'll get it at rockabillygreg.com.
That'd be great.
Where I'll have everything. So, Charlie, again, I can't thank you enough for coming down, sharing your
same
stories,
here.
sharing your music, sharing your insight on the music. This was interesting. Different. Haven't had a bunch of Irish music folks down here, so it's been really enjoyable. And for everyone who's tuned in, I hope you've had just as much fun as we have. And as always, you can find the podcast where you find your podcasts at Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Audible, thebuffalohive.com, YouTube, and of course, you can always find the podcast at rockabillygreg.com, where it's all about the music. And as mentioned, if I can find some videos, I'll have those up on the website, as well as links to where you can find out about Charlie and about the Buffalo Academy of Irish Music. And we'll take it from there. So hope you've enjoyed everything and the music. And Charlie, again, thanks for being my guest.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. And to everybody else, we'll see you next week. Bye-bye. In the Flamingo Lounge is made possible in part by CatsLikeUs.com, your online store for authentic vintage clothing and accessories. Buffalo Ironworks, an intimate live music venue and bar located in the Cobblestone District in downtown Buffalo. And by Diamond Hawk Golf Course and Pub, Western New York's premier golf course, restaurant, and banquet facility. At the Hawk, the bar is hopping year-round with live music every Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, and some other nights, too. Tune in for a new episode every Saturday at 9 a.m. EST at rockabillygreg.com, where it's all about the music. Bark, Zoe, bark. Good girl.